Hey everybody, welcome to another video. We're on week 21 of my comic series on Marvel Comics of 1985, kind of celebrating like a 40-year anniversary, like my own anniversary, because 84, 85 are about the time I started collecting comic books back when I would have been 12 turning 12 in July of 1985. So that kind of gives you my where I was at when I first started, which is like the prime age of reading comic books. And it was 1985. I mean, come on, it was the middle of the 80s. It was a pretty nice time to be a kid too. Just be interesting if I was a teenager, or an older kid, or like an adult, young adult, or even now back then, how life would be. It'd be weird. Anyways, the reason I hesitate when I say week 21 is, I'll show you here, I don't know if they skipped a week or there was an extra week in May of 1985. I don't think so. I'd have to go back and look at an actual calendar. I thought this was like a one-time thing, but this has happened maybe twice in a year, where you come to like the next week. I did 20, and then I come to do week 21, and suddenly the only thing that's out is like a British magazine, British, whatever, I can't remember which one it was, Transformers or whatever, and that's it. And you're like, okay, that's all that came out that week. So again, I mean, I remember this stuff pretty, laser sharp, but I can't remember that stuff. I mean, I can't remember if it skipped a week or not. I mean, unless something like egregious happened, like, I went up to the comic shop just hoping to get that one comic, and, and it's like, no new comics this week. I said, correct me if I'm wrong. If anybody knows or can remember back then if that was a thing where they'd skip a week. Like I said, I don't remember it in my head, and it's just weird when I look at this, so let me flip over here. We'll get started. This might be a short one because you'll see. It seems like this is this is getting worse and worse every week. But here, I'm going to show you here. So last week we did week 20, right? This week of comics, because there's the Transformers comic, right? And then they had a Transformers magazine that week, and then that Fantastic Four with Malice. Now, if you skip forward, these are both UK magazines, so nothing in the US came out on week 21. I don't know what to title this. I guess I should just title it week 22, and then not put this out next week, which would be week 21. Let me see, I'm just going to look at my calendar here. Yeah, so next week would be 21, and then, not the 21st week, but the date, the 21st, and then you go over to 20. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. I'm just wondering what was going on there. So I guess that's what I'll do. I mean, I could bank it and, or whatever, but I'll probably just skip next week. I mean, because like I said, I kind of want to keep this stuff on schedule. So I posted week 20 today, and then, which is technically the week 20. And then next week would be week 21 when this is supposed to be out. Because I remember I'm recording a week early. I don't know. I guess maybe I'll have to wait just so it doesn't screw the thing up. I don't know. We'll see. Let me know, in the comments. All 32 people now that have watched this video. I have been putting the links to this on my my Deviant account in the journals just to see if I can drum up some more people to come watch it. But I've got almost 9,000 followers on Deviant watching my stuff, my art, my comics, but I'm talking about comics in this video, but for some reason nobody wants to come over and watch it. I don't know. Anyways, so if you did come over from Deviant, thanks for following the link. Anyways, so let's just skip ahead to week 21, because that's what I prepared for. And I said prepared for, because I'll show you. As you can tell right away, I mean, this is a stinker of a week. The only comics that I prepared to read out of all of this was Cloak and Dagger #2 from Volume 2. Great cover, by the way. And this also leads into why I didn't read it. I tried, but I didn't read it. I've read like the first couple of pages, and then I gave up again. Sorry, it seems like this is happening a lot. Now, the New Mutants was the only comic I read this week. So like I said, this will be a shorter video. New Mutants 31, another Bill Sienkiewicz comic, and it's kind of following with their, I remember this now. I remember how this leads into the special edition and then leads into the Asgard Wars, series, which I've got the graphic novel from 1987 that came out that compiled all that. But I think I sold my New Mutant Special Edition. I still have the annual #9, which should come out probably soon here. And for Uncanny X-Men, and I think I sold my special edition New Mutants because it was like worth pretty decent money at one time, and I put it up on eBay and it got pretty good money, so I think I sold it. But anyways, so if you got my, I'm sure that person's not watching this video, but if you got my special edition New Mutants, there you go. That's the comic I had when I was a kid. And of course I got the graphic novel, and I'll get to that later, but this comic here in particular, this New Mutants comic, kind of leads up into that. I think that they go through the Alpha Flight and X-Men limited series first, I believe, which I'll probably read that again. I like reading the Asgard Wars. It's one of my favorites. That's why I got the graphic novel. It's one of my favorite at the time. Arthur Adams' art and most of it, and Paul Smith doing the other art. But yeah, as you can see, the rest of this week is it's poopy. It's a lot of poop. Again, discounting all of the UK comics because they obviously didn't come out here in the States, and we're also discounting. You know what? I forgot Squadron Supreme number. I didn't prepare that. I don't know if I can get through Squadron Supreme. I never bought it back then in the day, and when I did look through it even back then, I didn't really get it. I mean, I don't know, it didn't really appeal to me. And then I bought it at a comic shop. They had the entire thing compiled like in a grab bag for the entire limited series. I think it's 12 issues, isn't it? Yeah, it's 12 issues. I like some of the characters, just the females. There's some pretty hot chicks in the Squadron Supreme, but I don't know, I don't know, maybe I'll give it a shot. I'll go back and reread it, and then I'll follow up when we hit #2, maybe, I don't know. I forgot that was out this week. I think it's because I don't have the digital copy of it. I think I've got it in a compendium or something. I have to pull it out of there. Also, I don't have those issues anymore. I sold them off. In the whole bundle too. Somebody bought the entire shebang off of me. I think I might have made $5 after shipping, maybe. Well, that's probably after shipment made $5. But anyway, I was trying to sell some comics off a few years ago, like right during like the beginning of the pandemic, and or maybe it might have been pre-pandemic. And I didn't get rid of a huge part of my collection. I got rid of maybe 25, 30 books, but maybe more than that, maybe 50 books. But I think I did take a bath and a couple of shipping boo-boos, and then I didn't make much profit margin, So I mean, some of the comics I've had for years, so there was a huge profit margin, but whatever. I didn't make a lot. Like I said, I might have made $100 for like an entire year worth of work. So buying and at least just selling comic books on eBay is not it's not very lucrative unless you're selling like crazy titles and making a huge profit margin. So just nickel and diming it, it's a lot of work for nothing. Yeah, so, and obviously we're going to skip all the epic titles, Moonshadow, Swashbuckler, Swords of the Swashbuckler, Dreadstar and Company. I keep thinking Kelly and Company. The talk show used to be on in the 80s. We're also skip. Like I said, we're going to skip a lot we're only really going to talk about 2 comics, and one we're only one I read. So the rest of these can kind of just, I mean, we've got, how many star imprints here? We've got Planet Terry, Peter Porker, that's 2 star imprints. 1, 2, 3 epics, and you got like Life of Captain Marvel. I don't even remember that comic. Daredevil. I did give Daredevil a little bit of a shot. I was going to put it in the folder for this week's read, and I was just like, I didn't do it. So again, we're getting down. I keep saying this every week as it draws, farther and farther down. We're getting down to a small minority of comics, which begs a couple of questions. I guess the first question is, do I really like comic books? When I like them, but it's so few and far between. I mean, we're going to cover, hopefully I can do all this. I'm going to cover 1985 through 1989. And, I can, we're talking about, like I said, if you were to put all of the comic books that I really like cherished, and like Special Edition New Mutants, I was one of those, but again, I've got it in the graphic novel form. But if you were to take comic books that I really liked at the time and put them in just like a box for the entire time period, 1985 to 1989, it would probably fill one short box, really. I mean, it might not even do that. We're talking like maybe 100, 150 comics that I actually really like, out of, I don't know how many came out in that 5-year span, but, or 4-year span? No, 5-year span. I mean, it would be a lot. There's a lot of garbage that came out. I mean, no offense to people that like some of those other titles, but I mean, there's just a lot of crap that's just like, doesn't appeal to... it's funny, because I mean, I'm thinking about kids when I was, 11, turning 12, right? I'm thinking like younger kids, like that could still read, or kind of read, like 7, 8-year-old kids, like they're still in, still back in elementary school, which, are almost 50 now. I just can't picture some of those kids reading like Planet Terry, maybe Peter Porker, because Peter Porker kind of, they put him in the new Spider-Verse and stuff. I mean, he kind of has an appeal to him, but like Planet Terry, I don't know. Rawhide Kid, I mean, I guess is there anybody who's like, was right around my age, was that big of a Western fan? I mean, I didn't hate Westerns. My dad loved them. I mean, everybody's dad at that time was watching Westerns, but I mean, I wasn't going to read a comic book about a Western, I don't know. It makes you think. So let's skip over and let's go to, that's right, I want to do full screen on these just because they look better on the screen here. Let's go over to the folder, hit full screen. There we go. Close all my... Let's close all my folders and stuff. I had all my work stuff open for doing my comics. But so here's the 2 big comics. Let me see. Actually, do I have... Yeah. Let's go through that Cloak and Dagger comic. Now, like I said, because let's go back. That's not where I left off. That's just where the computer remembered, but I've got it on double screen too. Or double page. Let's look at one page at a time. A great cover. I gotta say one thing about the Cloak and Dagger covers. Regardless of the artist, they've got some pretty nice covers, and it's really, with the cloak, with all that big billowy cloak, and it's all blue, and you got her all white costume. It's pretty much spray painted on. She's essentially nude. I mean, it's very appealing and just looks great on a page, and especially on a cover. It just looks nice. Nice Dutch angle they got there. You got some guys in the foreground there that are all like, monochromatically colored to kind of make the other stuff stand out. I mean, that's a nice cover. However, one of the Now, this isn't his, I wouldn't say this is the stuff that I really don't like, but I do not like Rick Leonardi. So let's go to the title page. Rick Leonardi, like I said, I've said this multiple times, he's a character. He's an artist that, especially a penciler, that always does fill-ins. And when he does do fill-ins, this one I think he's the main artist on because it's a limited series, but limited series and fill-ins is pretty much what he did. I don't know if he was just working part-time or what he was doing. I don't know a lot about him because he just doesn't interest me that much, his art. It's not terrible, but when he would be on X-Men, I was just like, I'd totally be just like, no, not a Rick Leonardi issue. I'd almost skip it. I mean, I would pick it up back then, and I'd read it, but I mean, it would do it reluctantly. I mean, the story, I really had to not want a gap in the story to actually read it. If it was like a throwaway issue or a Monster of the Week, and it was Rick Leonardi, I just didn't even pay attention to it. I just did not like the way he drew the X-Men, and I don't like the way he draws a lot of people. Now, he doesn't do a bad job with Cloak and Dagger. However, as you can see in this comic, and you'll notice it, you know, and this of course is a testament to my sensibilities, in quotations, if you haven't gathered by now, is she's barely in her costume. He immediately fills up the whole back of that Chrysler K car there. But, you know, and you got this I don't know, I just don't like where the story was going. It's a nice shot with the boats there. It's a nice top panel. I mean, he's got chops. I mean, there's a reason why he got work. I just personally don't like his characters. Way too heavy shading on that priest there, I think, in my opinion. I mean, he doesn't even have a hood on. Cloak has a hood on. Cloak's got less shading on his face with this, you know, big dark cloak over his face. I mean, she's kind of, yeah, she's not really in her costume, but down there, they're just talking. I like these. I love these open panels like this. They're very like storybook-like, especially with like a big mansion like that. That's cool. It looks like a mansion right on the block over on Center Street. But you know, nice bird's eye shot, vertical panel there, framed with some horizontal panels. It's nicely put together. I don't know. Like I said, I wasn't scoffing. I wasn't saying like, no, I don't want to read this. I think I made it to this page where they're in the car, and I just kind of lost interest. I skipped ahead, and I just looked, and I was just like, again, nice panel with that mansion up there, but I just don't like the fact she's not in her costume. She's got these red pants, this red sweater, this shirt, and she's got a weird looking face there. You know, I mean, especially that pose there. That it's very Arthur Adams-ish, that pose right there. Although Adams, as we know, is his first comic doesn't come out till the next week. But I wish she was in her white costume. I think that's what threw me off in this. I mean, it's something as little, stupid, and petty like that to throw me off, or like I'm out, tapping out. It didn't put Cloak in her, you know, spray painted on costume, or not Cloak, Dagger in her spray painted on costume. I'm out. Like I said, I'm very touch and go with Cloak and Dagger to begin with. Again, I've said this in a few other videos, but this is a comic that I literally collected just because I thought the covers looked cool and I liked the idea of her character. I mean, I like the look of it, and that's really what got me sold on it. But I barely. It was just like the Secret Wars 2. It's like I would buy it but not read it. And then this other Chicky Poo, she's kind of neat looking. She's got some white pants on. I think I can't remember, she's a villain, quote unquote, or just, you know, some kind of antagonist. It's a nice panel with her using her light powers there. But again, I mean, like I said, that bottom panel would be so much better if she was in her white costume. But I don't know, like I said, on an artistic view, I can really appreciate this comic. But that's the end of it there. But I don't know, I just wasn't blown away by it and got kind of bored. So it only left me. I should have put Squadron Supreme #1 in, but I didn't. So it really only leaves me New Mutants number 31. And I gotta say, I keep saying, I gotta say a lot of things. I guess that's why I'm making videos, because I'm gonna say stuff. Sorry to be Captain, pointing out the obvious here, but again, Sienkiewicz, I'm not a huge fan of his art. I can appreciate it, but I just don't. It doesn't appeal to me. And this, and I'll tell you why in this one. This is an issue, good example of this, but this whole thing where they're in this like fighting Coliseum thing, I know that's part of the story, but I don't know, for some reason that just didn't appeal to me. And and again, I didn't collect New Mutants at this time. I mean, I got them here and there, but I didn't regularly collect it, so I didn't pick this issue up. I think I kind of sort of started to pick them up a little bit in back issues after the whole the Asgard Wars, like in '87. I kind of was like, oh, maybe I should go back and put some of that stuff together once I got the graphic novel, and because I had the special edition and I had the the X-Men annual. I did not have the X-Men versus, or the X-Men, was it versus Alpha Flight 4-issue limited series. I didn't read it until it was part of the collected graphic novel, because I didn't have those issues from off the shelf. But I don't know. This is like I said, some of these weeks are hard to get through. I mean, it's not that they're hard to get through. It's just I don't have much to say, because I'm looking at this stuff now as an older dude. I'm not looking at this stuff as like I was a kid, but I mean, so I don't have a lot of nostalgia. I mean, I've got some nostalgia tied to it, but not a lot. However, this is an issue. I mean, there's a Dazzler, and I don't like that face. And then you've got this giant, like Jabba the Hutt woman character here, and I'm thinking to myself, is that Karma, who was in because she looked like that in the special edition, and it is, it's Karma. I was like, oh, and Cannonball finds it out. I mean, some of these panels are nice. Like I said, I like his I think generally he lays out a good page, but as you can see, like when Kitty gets, spoiler alert, when Kitty gets pulled out of this construct here, it's very, very over the top. I mean, I know Magma's power is just, that's how he draws it with the power, but I don't know. Yeah, her Kitty pulls it. It's like she's always in like silhouette. You can't see her face. She's got like this beret on, and I thought it looks like her regular blue Shadowcat costume, I think, but I'm not 100% sure. The construct falls over, and then like I said, I don't mind Magma, being a little sketchy, because that's, the way I think he designed that character, made her powers when she's in her magma form. I mean, that's just what it looks like. And she draws her, I mean, you just draw her like a regular, blonde girl in a New Mutants costume out of it. But yeah, all these pictures of Kitty where she's always like turning away, you barely see her face. I like Kitty. I mean, Kitty's one of my favorite, X-Men. And it's just, I don't know, it doesn't look good. Dazzler just looks choppy there. I mean, he's got a specific style he's going for, and some people love it. I would say majority of people, comic book readers at this time, love this stuff. I just couldn't get into it. I wasn't sure about this Frankenstein character thing. I couldn't remember. I remember seeing that as a kid, and then they're just like another group of mutants that they're fighting in this arena. And the cops show up and bust the place, and then they all kind of scatter. It's kind of funny. And then I think Cannonball jumps up and realizes, goes to, put the big whatever she is away, and realizes, oh, it's Karma. And I was like, yeah, that's right. So that tracks. That makes sense. Like now I get some close-ups of Kitty, and she just doesn't look good at all. I don't mind the heavy black. I don't think that's his thing. I think he uses too much shadow and silhouette, but I don't know. I just some of the faces just do not look great. They're too scratchy, I mean, I guess, look at comic books now. I mean, there's some artists now that draw crazy, sketchy, scratchy, and it looks terrible. At least this stuff, I could at least say it was of the time that I quote-unquote loved comics, which we're starting to question. And of course, you know, like I said, this is right before. I think this is leading up right to the Asgard Wars. So I don't know. It is what it is. But again, you know, as I was saying. Oh, yeah, I think it's funny. Oh, by the way, as you can see, I got the Web of Spider-Man poster up there, and I also have the Web of Spider-Man from Kraven's Last Hunt issue over there. However, it's funny because here's Web of Spider-Man came out this week, and I didn't read it because I realized unless there's an event, I mean, obviously, number one, really the reason I like that cover isn't necessarily because of Web of Spider-Man number one. It's because of this up here. Where is it? One of the get him out of there. Jesus. Can't even get these books out of here. Where is it? Sorry. Right here. That took entirely way too long. It's because the Concrete Jungle, which was the character roster for Marvel superheroes, had all the all the stuff. People from the Concrete Jungle, pretty much all the street level people. There's Cloak and Dagger right there for their stats. So that's more of what I like that image from, is from this, more so than Web of Spider-Man number one. That's where originally it was from the comic, but they used it on that. And then again, like when they do Kraven's Last Hunt, I paid attention to Web of Spider-Man, but all these like in-between issues where nothing's really going on. The thing is, I picked this up as a kid, that comic, but I couldn't go back and read it. It just didn't appeal to me. I flipped through it and it's like, no. So again, we're getting down to, I mean, at some point, and I don't want to just abandon these at all, because there's certain things that would come out, like obviously the Long Shot series coming up. You've got like the Asgard Wars. So there's things that are coming out within these weeks that I do like and I do want to talk about. So I don't want to just skip over and just go, okay, we're just going to talk about X-Men, Amazing Spider-Man, or 5 titles a month, because it really, for one thing, I can't make a weekly show out of it, and it'd be like, here's these comics and that's it. I like, because this also forces me to look at stuff. I'm just out of curiosity. For history's sake, I like looking at stuff to know that like Planetary came out and Rawhide Kid. I'd like to know how long these. I mean, it was interesting how long the Thing comic lasted, or when did Squadron Supreme come out on the in the newsstand in juxtaposed with other comic books at the same time. So I like to see that. So, and this whole thing is just kind of like a. Just a going back, you know what I mean? Just a pure nostalgia thing for me. And again, I mean, I read some comics from nowadays, some new modern comics. I don't like a lot of them, but I would say in a month now, I read 5 comic books. And the thing is, that's about what I read back then. And if you want to take all of the 90s, I read probably 50 comic books in the 90s for the entire decade. And that's not comic books that I would say I would keep in like a lot. I actually had a short box at the time. This would have been 1995. 96, I had a short box of comics that I set aside that were specifically from that time period. I had like the first 10 issues of Spawn. I had like first 5 issues of Wildcats, first 5 or 10 issues of Cyberforce. Most of the, I didn't have the Youngblood, but I had most of all of Gen 13. I had a lot of Image comic books because it was the 90s. And I set them all in a box that I had, and I would periodically go through it and pull them out. Mostly the Gen 13s, but and then some of the Marvels were in there. There weren't a lot of them. Maybe like literally. I think I started to get more when they had that, not Heroes, not necessarily Heroes Reborn, but remember that's like World's Greatest Comics. They had that. This is like 96-ish. And then, of course, that led into, I think it was 97, led into the Heroes Reborn. And I had a bunch of Heroes Reborn. But anyways, I had this short box of comics. And it was pretty much all of the comics I had from the 90s. And I took it to a comic book show, the one in Livonia, at the Knights of Columbus Hall in Middle Belt. I think it still goes on. I think they still put that show on. It's very small. Like I said, it's one of those nice, intimate, small, just comic books in a, musty, VFW or KFC hall that smells like Michelob and cigars, that kind of place. Where the concessions are like bags of chips and popcorn. And so it smells like popcorn too. And, nobody really cosplaying, no real kids. Most of it's just old farts like me, or at the time even older than me now, and they were just going through long boxes, just filling holes, or people were selling stuff off. And some people were there for some of the key issues, and some of the anything Mylar that's in Mylar. I remember when, nowadays it's funny, everybody gets the graded comic books, and it's expensive to get those graded, and it's just like whatever. Back in the day, that really wasn't a thing. It was just Mylar. Like if you saw something in a Mylar sleeve, you're like, oh, that's an old comic book. And it usually was. It was usually a golden or silver age comic. I mean, they weren't putting issues that came out in the 80s or issues that came out even in the 70s and Mylars. You could just get those in long boxes, maybe a bag, maybe a board. Like I said, boards were not a big thing back then, at least not where I was at. So it wasn't until I would say that, well, obviously the speculator boom, that's one of the reasons why the comic book industry went kapooey in the 90s. But anyways, I took that box, and this was like after the comics started to pick up steam again, like 97, and I went to that convention, and I brought the box with me, and I had it on this, I was wheeling it around on this little like cart, and I was taking it around to different people, and I said, oh, you got comics to sell? What do you got? And I was like, oh, I pulled, I said, this is pretty much all of my 90s stuff. And one guy bought all of my Spawns and gave me, I think he gave me like $20 for the first issue, and like maybe between $3 and $5 for all the other ones. So I made money. I mean, I bought those all for cover price, like $1.50 or $2. So I made some money. And then, not a lot, again, very small. And then I sold off the Cyber Forces. I think I made money on everything in the box, but not by a lot. I think the most, like Spawn #1, selling it for $20 when I bought it for like $2, whatever it was, cover price. Maybe it was $2.50. I mean, I made, $15, $16, $17 on it. I had to pay $2 or $1.50 to get in the con, so that was the most. I think I served like Cyberforce might have got 10 for. Wildcats #1. I don't even think I got anything just because it was so mass produced. I think I got more for like #2 and 3 than #1. I think that was the way for Cyberforce too. I think the only #1 I got good money for was the Spawn. Gen 13. I did not take Gen. I actually kept Gen 13 for a while, and I had it for a pretty long time. And actually, I think I still have them down in my comics. I'm pretty sure. I don't think I got rid of them. But because it's the only thing, really the only thing for me from the 90s that I liked was Gen 13. And I started like the 10th towards the end of the 90s. I really liked the guy's art. I liked the character. She was very appealing. And I have those comics there. So I don't have all of like all the different series, but I have the main series up to like issue 10, I think. But yeah, so again, you know, like I said, you could take that 5-year span between 1985 and 1990 and maybe fill up a short box. You could take everything that I had from the 90s and fill a short box. I've got my short box going now. It's mostly all facsimiles and some modern comics books, and that's already full. I need to get a new box, and it's only been like a year and a half. Yeah, about a year and a half, and I've already had. So I'm actually technically buying more comic books now, even though facsimiles are just rebuying key issues from the past. But, you know, and I had 4 subscriptions going, which are all canceled now. I didn't renew them. And I don't even know if I'm going to keep collecting some of the titles. So, you know, again, we're talking about the 80s, at least half of the 80s, the 90s. We're talking about the 2000s, 2010s, 2020s, now that we're in. All these years, you know, 40 years. And, like I said, I must not be that big of, even though I love comics, I do this for a living. I'm doing comics, but I guess the question is, do you really like them? It's like, yeah, I do, but a very small amount, which is terrible for, you know, the comic book industry, for people like me, because we buy so little. We're not a cash cow, you know. We're not somebody, and if there's a lot of people like me, then you're gonna get, you know, unless it bleeds over to where this guy likes these and this guy likes this, but a lot of people kind of like the same thing, so it doesn't make for selling a lot of books. Again, I mean, who's reading Planetary? Who's reading Peter Porker, A Spectacular Spider-Ham? Some people, I guess. Who's reading Swords and Swashbucklers back then? You know, and on the flip side, I look at some of the Image comics and some of the indie comics today, and I'm like, who's reading these? There's some that are good here and there. So I guess, like I said, I guess my habits have not changed since I started this 40 years ago. It's just kind of like I like some. I like a minority amount of comics. I don't like the majority of them. I just find them either unappealing, boring, don't like the art. You know, I said, it's not, for me, it's not really the story so much. It's more like the art sells me first. That's what I do is comic art, even though I do write comics. Write some of the stories that I do, which aren't Shakespeare, by the way. So, I don't know. It is what it is. So, like I said, we'll end this one a little early. So let's pick out, I've kind of given you the answer now, but let's pick out what comics. You can pause it here and pick out what comics did I pick up off the newsstand. I don't think any of my subscriptions are on this page. Yeah, so this is going to be comics that I just picked up at Rochester Book Center back in 1985. I've already mentioned Cloak and the Dagger I did pick up. Cover just sold me. Conan the King, no. Daredevil, no. Like I said, you can discount all the other stuff. Gargoyle, no. I couldn't get past that first issue. It was terrible. Moonshadow, no. New Mutants, even though it's the only comic that I read this week, I didn't actually pick that up on the newsstand. I may have gotten it, went back and got it, but I can't recall. No, none of the rest of it, no. Squadron Supreme, no, oh, sorry, I did pick up Web of Spider-Man. So I probably only picked up, that's it, Web of Spider-Man, Cloak and Dagger this week. Like I said, I did Squadron Supreme. I remember seeing it come out. I don't think I remember issue 1 coming out. I probably saw it and just kind of glanced over. But as they were coming out for the rest of the year, I started noticing them. And like I said, that Thing comic, I really couldn't get into. Even though it's not that I loved the Thing. I just, you know, like I said, the only Fantastic Four I was reading at the time, which I'm not reading now, is the She-Hulk stuff, and that's why Thing had his own series, because She-Hulk was in Fantastic Four. Alright, so I guess that concludes it. Sorry about the short week, but maybe we'll pick it up next week with... so again, I'm going to Well, you wouldn't know this until you won't know this until I actually drop it. So I'm going to drop this at the last week of May. In 2 weeks, I'll drop this, and we're going to skip this 20, and I'll number it week 22. Even if anybody says, "What happened to week 21?" Well, watch the video, and there you go. I'll explain why there's not a week 21. All right. Well, let's end this one here, and keep reading the comic books. Keep going back and looking for them. Hopefully you guys are liking more than I do. Like I said, this isn't I hate comics video. I mean, it's not, like I said, I started out with, I'm going to try to read everything. I just can't do it, which is a testament to what it was, and and even now what it is. I mean, I guess I'm not. This isn't like rocket science. I mean, obviously people like what they like, and they don't like everything. Some people do. I'm not one of them, so maybe you are. All right, like I said, like, subscribe, do all that fancy business that people do. Again, I'm not. This isn't my money-making thing. This is just more me just doing this as kind of for fun and my little experiment here. So hopefully you guys enjoy it. Like I said, more comment and talk to me, have a conversation with me than anything else. That's kind of like what I like to do. I like to talk about it. So we can do that instead. All right, I'll catch you guys on the other one. All right, bye-bye.